Is this the worst podcast we've done?
Yes. Those should normally happen in like the first 20 to 30, when you're still figuring everything out. We're 158 of these things in, and this is the biggest violation of trust between us and our listeners we've ever had. 10 days after the fight, Buster Jr.'s trainer and friend died. So this guy had a rough month.
Rough run. Safe to say that the worst part of that month was getting knocked out by Mike Tyson.
I'd argue Dad dying's up there. So as I was saying,
Mrs. Sarson, right? She was always drunk. That was always the rumor.
Whoa!
Yeah. Looked like Big Bird.
I can't think of anything more offensive to describe a human person.
Really?
Like an actual person? That's high on the list, man.
Good old Big Bird. Mrs. Sarson. English teacher? Literature? Yeah, something like that.
Earth science?
No, that was Markovic.
Sorry.
That was Emery. That was Emery Markovic.
How could I dare forget that and screw that up, Steve? I apologize,
Mr. Markovic.
I'm really glad we were able to rehear that there at the end.
Mr. Markovic kind of looked like the Penguin from the old Batman movie.
What is it with you and your offensive tropes about your old teachers?
Well, look.
Was there anybody you look back on and said, yeah, they look like a normal person? Or is everybody, a childhood memory for you? Do you have an Oscar the Grouch?
No, let's see.
Maybe you've got a Cookie Monster because, one of your teachers was just obese?
No, I mean, Mr. Adair was pretty normal looking. Mr. Martin was normal. Mr. Greenhow. Mr. Longshaw. Oh, there was the rumor that Mr. Longshaw's first name was Rathbone.
Rathbone Longshaw. Wow.
Why? Or his middle name. I don't know.
Hey, if there's something that projects power, it's the name Rathbone Longshaw. And if you wanted to tell me that Rathbone Longshaw was a teacher of yours, I would have called you a liar. Because obviously, the name Rathbone Longshaw was a colonel in the Civil War.
Or a pirate ship captain.
Those are your only two options. Yeah. I don't know where in the birthing or in the late pregnancy and birthing process you said, yeah, this kid feels like a real Rathbone to me.
Let's see.
Or he's born.
Say,
hey, we're going to wait to name him until we see him. People do that.
Let's see.
Maybe they, he is born. He starts crying. They hand him to the mother. She looks up, tears in her eyes, to her loving spouse. Says, honey, he looks just like a Rathbone.
Okay. Sentiments in middle school faculty alumni.
Oh, so he's no longer there.
I mean, I can't imagine. That was... Let's say, how old are you when you're in middle school? Like
12 and 13.
12, 13, yeah. So that was 26 years ago. He was pretty old back then. But I never know, because you look back on it and you just assume all your teachers are 100 years old, and then years later you find out that they were only like 35 when they were teaching. Sentiments in high school Pirates alumni.
By the way, I literally can't believe this. For the second, we didn't learn any lesson from what we both agree was the worst episode we've ever distributed 1 week ago. We're back at it.
We're right back at it.
3 minutes in, talking Rathbone Longshaw.
Well, we may as well just cue the music that everybody has been waiting to hear for the last 1 week. This is our walk down memory lane music.
It's Sunday morning in the Delaware Valley. For over 25 years, it's been a Philadelphia tradition to join Larry Ferrari at the organ.
Got a little Ferrari trivia for you.
Oh, goody me.
Here's Larry.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on.
Good morning and welcome to our Sunday morning musical get-together here on Palm Sunday in the Delaware Valley area.
Boy, there have been some big happenings since we last recorded concerning that of Mr. Larry Ferrari.
Have there.
Turns out that as we learned last week, he was a legendary Sunday morning television organist.
And alleged poor man who drank away his life savings.
Allegedly. It's all still a mystery. Our fact checkers haven't gotten to the bottom of that quite yet. But my mom used to have regular run-ins with Mr. Ferrari at the grocery store.
Oh. You know, they got that whole
Hold on.
section in.
I don't think you heard me.
Okay. Maybe my headphones aren't working correctly because you prefaced that by saying you had some, interesting information.
Maybe if I prefaced it with...
Oh! Sat up in my chair, ears perked.
Live from APS 3.0, Steve's mom had frequent run-ins with Larry Ferrari.
Run-ins is what she called it.
Well, she used to see him at the grocery store on a regular basis. And Mr. Ferrari...
Handles of booze in his cart.
Mr. Ferrari...
Hair disheveled.
Unless you...
Shirt half tucked in.
Unless you couldn't tell by this, that is not a natural head of hair.
What?
And
I wouldn't have...
My mom said, oh yeah, I used to see Larry Ferrari and his stupid rug all the time.
I was going to say, I thought it would be... the other way, that was his disguise. He would just take it off when he went grocery shopping.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I mean, can you imagine what a thrill running into that legend,
Mr. Ferrari.
Mr. Ferrari, at a grocery store.
In Cinnaminson.
Wow.
The grocery store, I think I told you via text, it was inexplicably called Talk of the Town.
Yes, and that's another thing. Far too many text messages regarding Larry Ferrari this week. My entire history with this, as I refer to him, souped up idiot machine player, I had every anticipation was going to end 1 week ago today. Because there couldn't possibly be, let alone any more, we hadn't received the first interesting fact about this idiot. Yet I can count, I think, 3 to 5 more text messages exchanged, not just with you. Brother Mike jumps in on this nonsense, talking about the Sunday morning television schedule in Greater PA. I'm done with him. Like I told you, your mom used to see it, and maybe she's kind of remembered more fondly than what it was. But in my mind, again, Larry Ferrari, missing the toupee because he's trying to get out and get groceries undercover, disheveled, shirt half tucked in, handles of booze in his cart.
What do you think he was? You think he was a Jack Daniels man? Or do you think he was
gin.
Like a Sailor Jerry?
My guess is just a straight gin. So he'd have handles of that.
Not even rocks?
Realize that his...
Just straight out of the bottle. Oh, I bet Ferrari was a flask man.
I could see that, yeah. He's, Larry Ferrari very rarely would go out without his suit jacket on.
Do you think that one of the pipes in the organ was a hidden flask?
Oh, yeah. That or a beer tap. Just kind of, there's a little nozzle on the, the non-camera side.
Right.
And he would...
I don't know. I think that in that show, they probably got up close and personal with the keys, so you could really see Ferrari tickling the ivories.
And he's getting his bachelor food because he's quote-unquote married, but only because, he can't be a divorced man running the local Presbyterian organ or whatever he was doing on the Sunday morning show. So he's got a fake marriage, so he's just got a cart full of SpaghettiOs, microwavable food.
Yeah.
A few frozen pizzas for when he really feels up to the task of turning on his oven.
Yeah, I mean, he died pretty early. Couldn't have been a very happy man.
He was in his 70s. I don't know if that's
Was he?
that early.
I thought he was like 65.
Didn't we realize he was in his, it's like in World War II, wasn't he? Or am I going back to the Bob Barker conversation?
Oh, boy, I don't know. There are a lot of similarities.
Larry Ferrari. This is stunning.
I'm just going to type it out now on the show description. The continuing.
Oh, good. So you're just going to have people
of Larry Ferrari.
He was 65. Some would argue lived 15 years too long. Some. I mean, I've got a later picture of him, and it actually looks like he took that toupee and grayed it.
Wow, do you think now? Okay, so if you're going to do that, do you go natural progression of like brown, then a little salt and pepper, then a little bit more, then a little bit more, or do you just rip the Band-Aid off?
Yeah, you just spray paint it gray one day.
you show up to work one day and be like, yeah, oh boy, last week has really been crazy.
And people might, you just let people, oh, Larry must have had a rough week. Jeanette must have really left him with nothing in that divorce.
Oh, that's his ex?
That's what I'm assuming.
That's the tramp.
Whoa! Hold your phone.
Whoa! Hold on. Do we have breaking Ferrari news?
I have breaking Ferrari news. Live from the Steve and Kyle Podcast Auction Studios, we have a Larry Ferrari authentic photograph. So, Steve.
Okay. So, breaking news is that you found a photo of him.
Larry Ferrari, WFIL, Philadelphia. Photo. Autographed by the one, the only, Larry Ferrari himself. Now, Steve.
Where is this at?
You know how famous Larry Ferrari was, and apparently still is, in you and your brother's mind.
Again, I don't remember this man. My brother did.
What do you think the going rate for an autographed photo of organist number 2, whatever that means, Larry Ferrari himself, is currently going for on eBay?
I'm going to say $3.99, Bob.
Steve, you're undercutting, but I think we can get you a deal.
What is it at?
At the going rate right now, you can buy this photo of Larry Ferrari for $4.17.
If I told you that I was logging into my eBay account right now.
But wait one moment.
Ooh, there's more?
Because this is already from the discounted price of $5.95. There's the make an offer button, Steve. They're trying to charge you a little over $4 to ship this weird card stock. For the small price of less than $9 total shipped to you.
There it is. Who is it autographed to?
It looks like to George.
Let's see. To George. Larry to George and something? And then it's autographed down at the bottom. It's autographed twice. Look at that.
I do regret to inform you, though.
Oh, boy.
That it doesn't seem like we have room in APS 4.0. We just have too much stuff to put up.
I think it would just be too much.
That's too far. Like, we just don't have the space, Steve. That's all there is to it.
But it would be a shame to let this relic pass through our grasp.
It's less than $9. I can get you a cassette tape of musical varieties by Larry Ferrari at the Con organ.
Hold on, I'm looking at the condition of this autograph. Some light foxing from age and a small stain in the upper right corner. I'm willing to look past the stain, but the foxing.
Do you want to know what the going rate for a Larry Ferrari autographed personalized photo from WPVI TV?
So that's Channel 6.
This is after Ferrari.
That's the big one.
Hit the big time, Steve.
All right. Well, if the FIL one was $4.17, I'm thinking that the PVI one has got to be at least $6.
go start checking the couch cushions. You're going to need a little bit more.
$8.
For the fee of $20.
You get right out of here.
You can have your very own Larry Ferrari personalized autograph. Well, not personalized to you because he's dead.
Who's it personalized to, though?
This is so it's in the same top left corner.
That must have been Ferrari's thing.
The top left corner. Everybody knows you get a Ferrari autograph. It goes top left corner.
That's the first step to authentication.
Oh my God! So this is after Ferrari had a few gins that morning. See if you can comprehend any of those letters.
To Alloydel.
Yeah, to Aladdin. And
Well,
then Larry
that
Ferrari
could just
like,
as easily say to Stephen Kyle.
and then the Larry Ferrari looks like Len Steen. So this must have been pretty late in the Ferrari lifetime.
Okay, let's see the actual headshot, though. I need to...
Oh, the WPVI, yeah.
Do you have the rug yet?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
again, look at that.
You didn't see Ferrari without the rug. That's the one thing you know about Ferrari.
In the FIL one, he's got a nice haircut.
Seemed like it started to go, maybe, and this was his solution.
Yeah, like, really, man? That was the best they could do?
Well, Larry Ferrari can't go without impressing the ladies.
I miss that man.
Doesn't even say who it's... signed to. I do, in fact, have some Larry Ferrari trivia for you, Steve.
Oh, good. Let's do it.
Did you know?
About 17 minutes in now. 17 minutes in.
That Larry did not use sheet music. After hearing a song, he just played it from memory.
Wow.
If that goes to tell you how difficult that instrument is... What is there, 4 keys? Is it like a child's toy where it's just like red, yellow, green, and blue, and then he just beep boop beep boop?
Yeah, he played Simon. That was that thing, right?
And that is how he listen, this isn't like, wow, how about Ferrari? No, this is like, if you need sheet music for this 4-button buffoonery, that's your own fault.
Give me more facts.
Oh, that's all I got.
Oh, I thought you said you had Ferrari facts. I had a Ferrari fact.
Whoa.
Back in 1982, what kind of organ was Ferrari playing on the Larry Ferrari show?
The big one with pipes, Steve. The only organ there is. It's the big one with those stupid pipes that stick out of the top.
Well, if that's the nickname for the Hammond Elegante, then yes, you're correct. The big one with pipes.
Oh, yeah, Elegante. It's Spanish for big.
Yep, with pipes.
Yeah, big with pipes. I know my Spanish. Well, this has been offensive. I apologize to everybody for this again. I don't even believe you've started the show. Ooh. Sounds of the Elegante.
Look at that. He's playing the bottom tier and the middle tier at the same time. I mean, the Elegante just has a sound all its own.
I believe you mentioned it.
Oh, by the way, this organ has no pipes whatsoever.
Nope. Oh, so it's a fake organ.
It's an electric organ.
It's the keyboard of the organ world. Everybody knows that a true organ has big pipes.
Sing it, Lair.
Wow, listen to him break. So this would go on for 1 hour on television every single week?
It would appear so. I don't know if it was an hour or a half hour.
I just can't fathom. I mean,
wasn't enough. Wasn't enough, if you ask me.
The main question I have is why.
Who watched that?
Apparently you and your brother. What did you... No, I don't have the text message handy. Your brother texted both you and I.
Yeah.
When he heard.
When he heard the news.
When he saw it.
When he heard the
in
news
the show description that we were going to break down Ferrari for some unknown reason. There it is. Okay. Larry Ferrari on Sunday mornings on Channel 6, followed, of course, by Al Albert's Showcase.
Okay, well, we're going to have to look that up. Al Albert's Showcase.
I don't know why we don't just... Your mom is here this weekend. I don't know why we don't just have her break down why you were forced into watching... Is this Al?
Of course it is. Look at this. Look at that audience. Is that Al? That must be Al.
And now, here's the host of the showcase and the star of our show, Al Albert!
That was the worst voice I've ever heard. All right, so this
There's
was like...
about 4 people who look actually excited to be there. The rest look like they were forced by somebody else.
So this is like Star Search, but on a local level.
Where there's no stars. You heard that, girl.
You're beautiful. Thank you. Welcome to Showcase.
Is
And
Al
welcome,
drinking?
if you will, please, Melissa Lynn.
Go back 10 seconds, Steve, and listen to him open that.
And whenever you see one of our teeny boppers.
Jump that.
You're beautiful. Thank you. Welcome to Showcase. And welcome, if you will, please, Melissa Lynn on the piano. And whenever you see one of our teeny boppers on the piano, it means they're giving Uncle Al the pleasure of singing.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
We can stop this right now.
All right, we'll go ahead and close that window because Al's a creep. Al would be what we refer to these days as a pedophile. Back in the day, Al was just, a sweet guy who really loves children. But now, Al's doing 20 to life.
Teeny bopper on the piano. What was the second line? What was the one that I already forgot it? I was so distracted by this random young child sitting on the piano or something, and he rests his hand on her leg, which is just a little weird enough. I don't know.
Boy. Boy, oh boy.
Brother Mike, I am sorry, because I feel like we just slapped your childhood in the face with reality. You need to go right now and look up the Al Albert Showcase on YouTube and watch that, Mike, because, boy.
Your opinion of old Uncle Al might be a little different.
Uncle Al is what sealed it. The entire combination of him saying, when one of those teeny boppers is on the piano, old Uncle Al. Appointment television indeed, Steve.
Yeah.
But, I'm glad we were able to rehash that. Not really. That brings me to recapping our polls last week, which out of context, which is the way I prefer to post them now, because when the polls come out to essentially you versus me in a debate.
I agree. I think that this is it's a blind sampling. So if somebody listened to the episode, they know what it's about. If they didn't, that's fine. You can still vote anyway.
We had 2 polls last week, and again, you can find all those polls at Steve and Kyle on Twitter and Facebook. The poll I want to get to first, related to this, who is a more famous resident from Steve's hometown of Cinnaminson, New Jersey? And we had, for some reason, 2 candidates.
And I was not one of them?
And Steve did not make the cut. The 2 that made the cut were Mewtwo King, who we discussed last week way too in-depth, is a Super Smash Brothers player and plays with his hand all clinched up like a little weirdo.
The claw grip.
The claw grip is what it's described as. And the other one is Larry Ferrari. So Cinnaminson bringing the heat when it comes to notable residents. You've got shriveled hand video gamer,
Yep.
a dead organist, and you.
Well, not even me, because numerous listeners to this podcast
Oh.
tried to add me. I tried to add me to the notable people from the town.
Yeah.
And it kept getting deleted by Wikipedia. And I need to find the. Maybe you can give the final results as I try and
Sure.
find the.
So with about a little over 150 votes on that one, Steve, the more famous resident by a final vote of 64% to 36%. Your childhood is still somewhat intact, Steve. Larry Ferrari, the more famous resident from Steve's hometown. And I think that's probably the way I'd anticipate it. I don't get the impression our listenership is full of, as old Uncle Al would say, teeny boppers who would know who Mewtwo King is.
Oh, boy. Okay, so I went back and I found one of the comments on the poll. It was a screenshot because listeners had tried to add me to the Wikipedia page for Cinnaminson, New Jersey as a notable person. Removed individuals with no evidence of notability from Wikipedia. Thank you, Ben, for posting that screenshot. Ben said, ouch, the Wikipedia gods are cruel.
I feel like that should be your very first personalized merch.
Yeah,
I've got Sports Day with just me, but somewhere your face. Now, Philip, you've made one with the caricature of your face, and then you put the worst on top of it after I called you the worst, and you made that, you bought that yourself. What I need is one of Steve's caricature, and then either on top of it or below it, no notability.
Removed individuals with no evidence of notability.
But I want it like mugshot style.
Yeah.
To make it look like you're in prison.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. So Ferrari remains king in Cinnaminson.
Yep, Ferrari, the Cinnaminson king, the divorced, not divorced drunkard.
I enjoyed Nikki's comment on the poll where she just said, "Are these even real people?"
Listen, and again, out of context, that poll makes less sense than it might have even after listening.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
I don't know that the explanation of Mewtwo King really makes a big difference.
No.
And the other poll we posted last week, you heard it in the intro as well. What is more offensive to call a woman? And again, with more than 250 votes, Steve.
Oh boy, 250.
Big Bird or Beanpole were the options. By a final tally of 81%
oh boy.
to 19%, Big Bird is indeed more offensive.
I don't know. Birds are majestic flying creatures.
The adjective big is directly in the title. You essentially called you're calling your teacher fat.
No, I was calling her tall.
Sure. And I'm sure that's the way she would have interpreted it as well.
Who could ever know, I guess. We'll just, that one will just have to remain unsolved.
Boy, who could ever guess? So yeah, that were your polls. Those were your polls this week again at Steve and Kyle on Facebook, on Twitter, to find those usually every week as long as we come up with something interesting, which
well,
not boding well for this week.
As long as we come up with something.
Yes, literally anything.
Doesn't need to be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a waste of all of our time to put in the poll was Al Albert a weirdo? Because we know the answer.
Oh, Uncle Al.
There's no debate going on regarding Uncle Al and if he was, in fact, a weirdo.
Old Uncle Al wasn't liked by his prison cellmates because he's what they call a kid toucher.
Oh, God. Steve, did you want to try one more time this week to get a hold of our friend Dan Scheich?
Yes.
Now Dan Scheich, we've talked about this kind of ad nauseum. Dan Scheich sent an email a while ago that he was listening to the podcast from start to finish, so we thought it would be fun. And again, we thought this would be fun 3 months ago to catch up with him and see where he was in the listening and see what was going on in our lives at that point. that Dan Scheich knew of. We tried to call last week. That didn't work.
I think that the last time he had emailed or posted or whatever, he was. I think I had just gotten engaged.
Yes, January of 2017.
Yeah, because I got engaged December 9th of 16. So now we're into 2017.
Yeah, and again, that was a while ago.
Planning for the wedding, no doubt, was underway. But, I mean, if it was 3-4 weeks ago that we last heard from him, he might have knocked out another 20 episodes by then. We could be into the late spring, early summer of 2017, which is, let's see, which would have been when house sale issues were starting. All right, well, let's call.
Now Dan Scheich's an audio engineer, and it should go without saying, this shouldn't be all on us. Now, Dan Scheich spent 1 hour on a different podcast last week. So he's a podcast guest, kind of aficionado, but I would argue, appearing on whatever these losers talk about it, working class audio, nowhere near as interesting.
Do you have Dan's? I think that this is Dan's number because I was looking at my call history.
Sent it to you last week via text, I believe.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that one more time if you need to.
I'm 99% sure that that's what it was. Of course, a better person would have had this ready to go.
A better podcast host would have been more prepared, in fact, yes.
Yep. Okay, turns out it was the right number.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, let's give him a...
Remember, we even recapped the area code off air.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that was my assumption that you had it ready to roll.
No. Come on, Dan.
Oh my God, it's you guys.
How do you know it's us guys?
Because I saved your number last time you called me.
Dan, did we wake you up? It's the Steve and Kyle podcast.
No, Steve and Kyle podcast. I've been up for a little bit. How are you today?
We're doing very well. We wanted to give you a call because a while back you said that you were trying to catch up on every episode of the podcast, starting from the beginning. Are you still doing that?
I still am.
Where are you in the history of this podcast?
Let me look. I am on episode 56, August 15th of 2017.
Oh wow!
Oh,
so
boy.
You're just 100 episodes away from being caught up.
Yeah, I'm super close.
So August. Okay. You are. I just went back to work, Steve. I had my Achilles tear. Now, Dan.
I'm in the middle of selling. I'm trying to sell a house, right?
You just put an offer on the new one, I think.
Okay.
And,
that's right. I
don't think you've moved in yet, but you were talking about what apparently is to be the APS 3.
Oh boy.
So,
okay.
That's exciting.
What now, Dan? Where in terms of this podcast? Now, there's two shocking moments I think in this podcast history. One is when Steve swindled me and told me that the surfer smacked into a pier and died.
That was way early. That was in APS 1.
No, I know. But then the second occasion of that shock and awe would be when it was revealed that I ruptured my Achilles 2 pitches into slow pitch softball season. For you, what was more shocking?
I believe I was probably more shocked by the results of the flimsy leg and the pop heard around the infield.
Yeah. It's different kind of shock and awe. It's like a horror movie, Steve. You got a jump scare like you with the the surfer dying, but the Achilles was a real build-up scenario, and then the end just really shocked you to your core.
That one was one that kind of zapped a little of the central nervous system, where a stranger gets done on a pier. That's really sad, but when somebody that you're listening to on a regular basis has a full go to pieces, that really is sad.
Now, Dan, you did mention in your email, but quickly recap, why did you start this endeavor? Who hurt you?
my pets don't care for me. I just for some reason listened to a current episode before I got into it, and I thought, wait a minute, I know how these guys work in this crew is. I want to hear the full evolution of the show from its meager day one to what I'm sure now is like a bustling worldwide media empire.
Oh yeah, ticker tape coming off of the machines in the background and TV cameras pointed at us 24/7.
If you've got a budget for ticker tape machines, you're doing really well.
Now, is there something in these first 56 episodes? Now, Dan, you're not there yet. You're about 92 of them away from finding out, but we want to make what Steve and I refer to as the essentials, because we don't want people to encounter what you've encountered, which is, oh boy, I can't listen to episode 150. I feel like I have to go back to the start. Well, that's not feasible for anybody with a life or livelihood or friends or social gatherings or anything.
Sure.
So, in terms of the essentials, the Steve and Kyle podcast essentials, is there anything that stood out to you from those first 50 or so episodes, episode-wise, that you'd say, hey, oh yeah, somebody jumping onto the bandwagon, this is one they'd have to listen to?
I swear if he says no, I'm going to slit my wrists. If there's not even one notable moment.
I think one of my favorites is the saga of the fellow from the softball who doesn't like to be referred to as a douchebag.
Oh yes. Oh, that's a scenario that traversed. Now, do you listen to to Steve's side gig as well, Dan?
Yeah, I've heard it once or twice.
So, if you were familiar with that softball saga, because that is one of the very few podcast things that have blended over on air. So you heard it there first.
Yeah, it's been really funny because listening back in time, I remember the stuff from the side gig. So it's like, oh, that was that thing, and like piecing those little things together is a little bit amusing.
Yeah, that was quite an event.
Yeah, that was something else.
Looking back on that, I'm still amazed at the history of how that went down, and that stupid first baseman, number 23. It's open season on your pitcher all night long.
Oh man,
what? Yeah. And then when he referred
to take useless things seriously.
Yeah. Then he referring to his softball playing career. Like, God, you loser. What a
the
loser.
Only career he's ever going to have.
Yeah.
Now, I'm looking ahead, Dan, and I'm very excited for you. Now, about what pace, and again, it doesn't matter to me. I think you're an insane person for undertaking this anyway. About what pace are you listening to the old ones at?
I'm probably getting one or two in a week, maybe more, depending on what my work situation is like, because I work listening to stuff all day. So if I'm on a day where I don't have to listen to as much stuff, or I'm doing work around the house a lot, I listen a lot more, and I listen at about 1.7 times normal speed. So I get
you do that. That's not totally weird to you? You're just accustomed to that now?
I'm so used to it now that when I play stuff on normal speed, when it's people whose voices and speaking I know, like they sound stupid and drunk.
So we sound stupid and drunk right now?
Yeah.
A little bit. You're a little dopey to me.
Would it really throw you for a loop? Let's say you're out for a jog, or you're at the grocery store, you got your headphones in, and if Steve and I just did like 3 minutes of this podcast at 0.3 speed, and so when you're listening to it, so then you would think, what happened? Something must have changed on my phone, and you would have to
I would look around and see if the people around me are okay, if it's me or if it's them.
Yeah. Now, I am looking ahead. I am very excited for you coming up. We have, Steve, benchmarks of this podcast. We have a GoFundMe. These things will make no sense to you, Dan. Billboard, Lucky Billy Bar, Halo Top Ben & Jerry's.
Oh, the Eclipse Tour?
The Eclipse Tour.
You did an Eclipse Tour?
Oh, no, we did no part of it. We
Guess you'll just have to find out.
Well, you talked about it, and I thought, well, there's no chance they're doing that.
Let's see. Let me jump ahead. Oh,
we had Jeep. Just say the word Jeep.
Yeah.
And that's about 3 different things that it could mean.
Yep.
But in early podcast debates we've had, Dan, I guess one of the main questions I have for you is, where do you fall on the age-old question of covered bridge or suspension bridge.
Oh, my God. I mean, suspension bridges are cool, and covered bridges are old and break when trucks drive over them.
My man! Dan Scheich, you and I were fighting on Twitter in one of the lamest fights known to man. You and I are
the worst fight in the history of the world.
You and I are now best friends.
Looked at that and went like, "Oh my God, that was poor."
We have another member, Steve, on the team. The suspension bridge army grows every day. Your termite-infested deck over water loses another round in the battle.
I gotta say, Dan, that disappoints me.
Well, I'm sorry. You disappoint me too sometimes.
Now, Dan, I saw.
Fair enough.
I saw on your Twitter that you were a guest on some other podcast last week. So it sounds like once you stood us up, you were cheating on us. Is that accurate?
Well, I mean, when one opportunity goes away and another one shows up, you take it, right?
Well, they do say when one door closes, another door opens.
But
then today I got the second door, and there's like a cross breeze, and it's lovely.
But if that second door is 1 hour talking about audio waves, how do you not just stick a pencil in your ear?
Well, that's what I was doing.
Man, oh man!
Hey, what's your favorite bit rate?
Hey, Dan, what are you? You know, are you team mono or team stereo?
I'm definitely firmly team stereo.
Okay.
What's and before we let you go, Dan, what is it exactly that you do? Is there anything you'd like, social media or anything else you'd like to plug quick before we let you go?
I'm a mastering engineer. I own and operate Tone and Volume Mastering in Nashville, and I make music sound cooler than it was.
Ah.
Like so you do people submit music to you, whatever, whether it's online or anything like that. You're not in a studio with these people playing music?
Right. Most of what, they play all the music and record it and mix it. Then they send that stuff to me, and I enhance it, and I create the materials that are used for digital distribution and CD manufacture.
Gotcha.
Nice.
So you basically auto-tune people.
Not at all. No, not a single bit.
No, I'm just messing.
Have you gotten anybody that like you look back on that is notable in terms of music now, or even a song? Because that's the way it works, especially in Nashville. Is a lot of famous people will write songs, but they won't record those songs, and they'll give them to somebody else. Has anything stuck out to you that you've maybe heard on the radio later on that, hey, I was a part of that?
I've done a couple of Johnny Lang records. I did the Meat Puppets last record.
Nice.
I've done a couple of DC Talk records that I know that Steve has chatted about in the days gone by.
DC Talk, yeah, they're actually one of the guys lives here in Grand Rapids.
Well, and I told
really?
you that's what the one of the weirdo across the street blasts on 4th of July in my neighborhood. So
now, Dan, are you like how big is your business? Like, are you turning people away because you're so busy, or are you the kind of place like, hey, you send it to us, we'll do what we can to it?
I pretty much take everybody that comes if they've got the budget for it. I don't like turn people away just because I like to work with everybody. But
there has to be, obviously, I don't want you to name names, but there has to be a time that someone presented you with some material, and in your heart, like, yeah, I can work on this, but it's not going to make it any better just because the source material was so bad to begin with.
Everybody finishes their project and thinks, yeah, this is great. I love it. And I enhance that.
That was a very diplomatic answer.
There is some diplomacy to be used in the music business.
Your task, it seems, like Steve said, in some of these cases, we're in an age now where everybody thinks they can be anything they want, and musician is the least of those, especially with the way television and reality shows are. So yeah, there's no doubt you've gotten some that are, maybe you take a break, right? You say, hey, I can't listen to this for one more second before I, throw my head in front of this semi-truck.
Yeah.
Hey, work is work, Dan. And so again, that's Tone and Volume from you, Dan Scheich. You can find him on social media. So if you're looking to have your music career take off, send your garbage to Scheich, because as he said, he doesn't turn any loser away.
I'll make your garbage sound better than it did when it showed up.
There you go. Hey, that's a great tagline right there.
Yeah, throw that on the bottom of your logo. If you paid someone for a logo.
New website.
Yeah, it would make your garbage sound better than what you thought it was. Well, Dan, thank you very much. We're going to check in with you maybe once a month or something like that to see how it's going on the listen back and see where we were at in our lives as you move along.
Oh, that'd be great. That's fun.
Thanks, Dan. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, guys. Have a great day.
Dan Scheich, everybody.
God, that was fun.
It's funny to listen to that, audio time capsule, basically. But yeah, so August of, what do you say? It was like August 20 something.
Yeah, episode 56. I pulled up the entire list.
So what date was that?
That was August 15th.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I got the rundown pulled up right here. So we talked about our first cars.
Oh man.
Our first jobs and the bosses who hated us. Oh boy. R.I.P. Jack.
Oh no, that's going to be another real stunner. Or no. That episode, that is not where we found out that Jack had passed away.
Oh no, we didn't find that out until like 6 months ago.
Oh boy, is this a long con for poor Dan. Dan's going to be invested in Jack's livelihood after Steve offended him and his family by being an obnoxious jerk of a teenager.
Yep.
And he is going to be caught way off guard when he realizes that
still hurts. Like, I want to send a card.
Coming up,
we had a big T-shirt update.
Oh, man.
So the Boston trip hadn't even happened yet then, right?
Boston was in July. That had just happened.
Big T-shirt update, but didn't we get the T-shirts?
I believe we mailed some out after we had done the Boston trip.
Did we? Okay.
Because remember, we bought them because we brought them to people in Boston.
Yeah.
And then we had bought extras for people who wanted to buy them.
Gotcha.
And shipped them out. In coming weeks, so we have a massive episode for Dan on episode 58 where we talk plans for a covered bridge tour, as well as Lee Harvey Oswald was a great librarian.
Oh, boy.
And Eclipse talk with our friend Chris. So there is a lot coming up. We talk about in an episode after that. We talk about how soon after you die can Annette start dating. Your house selling woes. So that didn't take long.
Okay.
And our plan, because in that same episode, our plan for Pete the Pirate.
Pete the Pirate Real Estate.
This is fun because I remember all of them. I don't remember the timeline on all of these things.
No.
And it sure seems like that summer of 2017 was our peak. And we've gone all the way from that to 15 minutes per week on Larry Ferrari.
Oh, boy, coming up just shortly after that, the episode from September 12th of 2017, Steve spent too much money on doorknobs.
Oh, boy. That made me set a reminder in my phone for 1 year later.
Yeah.
To see, hey, do you think Steve will know or remember or how many doors he uses in his house or whatever?
What is the go-kart non-update? What is that from the following week? Were we going to buy go-karts?
We talked about buying go-karts because we were going to race around your cul-de-sac, and then there was never an update on it again.
Steve's big move and house sale, fruit booters.
Again, there's a lot coming up. A lot coming up. So, yeah, thanks to Dan. Again, that does kind of qualify as 2 minutes of awkward conversation. If you leave us a review or have left us a review and you haven't been called for that, please let us know. Screenshot your review. Send it to us on Twitter or on Facebook at Steve and Kyle. Let us know that you did that so we can put you on the list for 2 minutes of awkward conversation, which I'm not kidding you, Steve. I would do that as a whole podcast.
I love it. Every time we do it, I love it.
Just 10 to 15 minutes where we just call random listeners and just shoot the breeze.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's, well, one, it's much less of you and I having to do all of it. And it's just, it doesn't matter what they do. That last loser messes with audio waves for a living.
So do you think that we turn 2 minutes of awkward conversation into a spin-off podcast?
Listen, I've been begging you for weeks to do something for something about something, Tate. And if 2 minutes of awkward conversation is that podcast, then so be it, Steve.
So that means I just do it?
I can come in.
I don't know if the name something about something Tate is really going to catch on.
That does not matter because I told you I wanted a different title for my sports podcast, and it was made somewhat clear via text that it has to be Sports Tate. So I am the idiot stuck with merch that says sports, letter T, number 8, because Steve can't count how many letters would be in a phone number.
Well, that's the least of the problems with that. The fact that Tate is not a word should be the primary.
Right, but you could have recovered it with a K or E or whatever. Tate could, whatever.
Sports T8K.
But the problem is you went too heavy with sports, left yourself not enough digits on the back end.
Oh, RTST.
Need 7.
Yeah. All right. I'm just one too many. SPRTST8. There you go.
So now we're at license plates. Of the loser who pays for novelty license plates.
Let's go back to talking about Larry Ferrari. I had an idea for a T-shirt, too, for that, and that was a revised version of the Piano Pals shirt where we're playing our double-decker piano, but then on top of us is Ferrari playing his organ.
Oh, that is beautiful. I love it. Philip.
With his stupid rug. Make sure you get the stupid rug in there, Philip.
Your 2 assignments this week are, again, Steve's caricature mugshot with what were the words that we were going to put around it? Not notable in any way or whatever?
It was the exact quote from Wikipedia.
The reason that you were shut down from being labeled a, quote, notable resident from Cinnaminson, New Jersey.
Removed individuals with no evidence of notability. So I think just no evidence of notability.
Yeah, and again, I think the words no evidence on top of your mugshot of notability underneath it, and then just your stupid caricature smack dab in the middle. Yeah. No evidence of notability. Speaking of Sports Tate, Steve, another one coming this week. I did want to mention it. I'm going to release one coming up this Friday.
Already recorded or?
No, goodness, okay. No, that'll be happening in the middle of the week. And I actually, just to give a heads up about this episode coming up, I told my wife yesterday that I want to record this episode when she is not in the house.
Okay.
And she said, why? And I said, it's going to get a little heated.
A conversation with yourself is going to get heated.
Yep. And that's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
That's all I want to get into about it. Sports Tate with me, released this Friday, 7 a.m. sharp. Stay tuned. It's going to be this episode itself, and I debated doing this. Actually had a discussion about it with a friend about doing this episode coming up this Friday. It is going to be a bit self-indulgent for me, so be aware of that. But please tune in. I think you'll enjoy it.
Okay.
That's all I can give away. I don't want to spoil it.
It's Friday, 7 a.m.
Yeah, I don't even want to give the topic
could mean
away.
This Thursday, 11 p.m.
Or Wednesday, 9:15, only on Facebook. I think after 2 misfires, I've really got it honed in.
How about when you're setting it all up?
Uh-huh.
I'll talk you through it. We'll go page by page.
No, I got it. I have made the only 2 possible mistakes somebody could make when releasing an episode. I've run the gamut on mistakes. 2. Flawless from here on out.
Sure, yeah. There's only 2 mistakes you can make, right? Couldn't possibly make another.
It's all going to work out. So again, and I feel bad doing it, but I don't want to give the topic because I don't want people to go, oh, well, that doesn't interest me. I'm not going to tune in for that. And 2, sometimes things change, and there will be a couple topics. I like to do 2 topics, and then rate. I started 2 weeks ago. Rate my take.
Tate.
Please send those in. # rate my take.
Hashtag R8MYT8. Rate my Tate.
And again, it doesn't matter what your take is related to. It does not have to be sports related. I released one on Twitter this week because I couldn't wait for Sports Tate next week.
I might send you a Tate.
You're going to send me a Tate? Send a Tate in? Because I released one this week on my own personal Twitter because the Take volcano never stops, Steve. And so this week that
magma's always bubbling just below the surface.
It is, and
waiting to turn into lava.
There's very few fully dormant volcanoes in this world, he said without knowing.
Boy.
So they're all just simmering, waiting for the next time they're going to explode.
Are they?
Because as I said, there are no dormant volcanoes in the world.
Yeah. I mean, you would know. You're a volcanologist.
So this week I unleashed on there that, Steve, and I'm glad you're sitting down for this, that better cheddars, a cracker, are superior to the Cheez-It.
Don't know if I've ever had a better cheddar.
Oh, well, get ready. We're taste testing next week.
So are they?
I'm bringing you...
Same deal. It's a little square?
Nope. It is a circular cheddar cracker. So stay tuned. That's a reason to tune in. Next week, Steve's going to eat a Cheez-It and a better cheddar.
Oh, man. People just fist pumped all around this great country saying, finally!
But you're not the only one. I did have a few. Our friend Mitch Mankiewicz, I'm going to guess. I've never seen these before. And our friend Trevor in Nashville, obviously. What the hell are better cheddars? I don't think they sell those south of the Mason-Dixon.
Yeah, is it like a local brand or a regional brand or something? I've never heard of it.
It must be regional. I guess I didn't assume that.
So it's not a Nabisco.
It's a very good question, Steve. One that I don't have an answer for you.
Well, if there's one thing we like to do on this podcast, it's delve into things that don't matter.
Well,
at the drop of a hat.
Let's follow up Larry Ferreri's Hour and Al Albert's Showcase. It is a Nabisco flavor.
Whoa.
Nabisco original. Better cheddar. And I think better than the Cheez-It.
Okay.
So we'll find that out.
Now, I mean, in my mind, that's a tough mountain to climb.
Because you're a Cheez-It man.
Yeah, I mean, Cheez-Its are great. Who doesn't love a good Cheez-It?
I love a Cheez-It.
I'm not saying that better cheddar can't be better. Can they live up to their name? Are they the better cheddar?
Stay tuned next week to find out. So again, send those takes in. Hashtag Rate My Take at Steve and Kyle, any of the social media platforms. 424-30-SK-POD. You can text in there as well as leave a voicemail if you'd like, and we can play that on the podcast. And we can rate you. I can rate your take. I don't believe we got into it last week. I said I texted your brother that I want him on Sports Tate in the near future.
He gave a list of like one topic that he'd be comfortable talking about.
And Brother Mike started show planning. So he seemed excited.
Oh, everybody can do it. Everybody's a broadcaster.
Yeah, and I said I want to have you on Sports Tate sometime soon. He said, yes, I'm a huge fan. And I said, we strive to be the leading podcast for the Lispin. It's a Living in Style podcast network.
Yep.
And then he stewed on that for a couple hours.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to do NFL or fantasy football only. I mean, I want to talk about those topics. I didn't even respond. I'm getting bossed around by a guest host who hasn't even guested on this thing yet.
No.
25.
What do you think you are, JT the Brick?
Yeah.
You think you call into what's his name's show? Who the hell's the hot take guy? Jim Rome.
Yeah, Rome.
You think you call into Rome a few times and suddenly you got your own show? That is the guy, right?
Yeah, JT the Brick got his own show after being a caller on there.
Boy, he's terrible too. I heard him. He was filling in for. I guess it must have been Rome a couple of days ago. He's terrible.
Sports radio is 99.5% awful, and the 0.5% it's so refreshing to hear. I want to get Brother Mike on there soon. But boy, oh boy, awful demanding for a podcast that has 28 minutes and 33 minutes under its belt, and I'm getting bossed around by a guy who hasn't appeared on there.
You finally crested 1 hour.
Yeah, one total hour of content, and I'm getting told what to do in the coming week. So stay tuned for that, Brother Mike. Man.
Don't listen to him. Stay the course.
I also want to have a brother convention on Sports Tate where we all shoot the breeze about sports. Me, you, Mike.
What about your actual brother?
Yeah.
Hey.
Listen,
Don't talk about Robert that way.
I see my brother most every day, just at work, and yeah, I don't need to talk to him.
You hear that, Robert? Who's the one talking trash now?
Yeah, it's not trash.
Your old buddy Steve.
Don't hear sports.
Your old pal. Your old pal Steve is there to defend you.
I talked to him about sports like 2001.
Is that when the the Michigan State
that
rivalry
was
started.
when Michigan State, Steve, probably the most famous instance of Michigan State. Less than 1 second on the clock. People are accused the Michigan State timekeeper of leaving a second on the clock, even though they think it had expired. And the Michigan State quarterback lofted. It's Jeff Smoker, in case you're wondering. Lofted a pass into the end zone to the running back T.J. Duckett as time expired to seal the victory over the rival Michigan Wolverines. And Spartan Bob lives in infamy forever. People say the timekeeper, Spartan Bob, sabotaged that game so the Spartans could win.
That
2001.
So by that point, you already had your allegiance, correct? You were already...
Yeah, that was set in stone.
Okay.
Set in stone.
Go green.
Go Steves. Before we get out of here, I did want to... We have an update, and do you want to do... Okay, let's do this, and let's skip the Fast Five. Because do you have some sad music for me?
Skip the Fast Five? I had a stupendous 7, and we're skipping it?
You're on a time crunch, and I get it.
We can make it work. I think we can make it work.
Because do you have
Unless you want to skip it, because I know that you came in here... look, don't act like you're doing me the favor when you're the one that showed up unprepared.
Listen, for the first time in 159 episodes, I did not have a Fast Five. It came together quickly. It came together terribly.
Is it going to be like blue shirts?
Listen,
hey, what about pencils?
You'll have to stay tuned to find out. But again, do you have like
some sad music?
We don't need it, but we have an update, and I'm not kidding you. This update was like somebody reached into my chest when you told me, Steve, this week. You said, "Hey, check the email," and it was like somebody reached in and didn't just punch me in the chest; they punched me in the heart.
Yeah,
because this was very depressing. Now, we have been trying to get a hold of our friends in Hartford City, Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
We want to place a plaque or a bench or a tree or a garage door at the childhood home of C.G. Johnson, the creator and inventor of the overhead garage door opener who couldn't wait to flee the city itself. We had multiple communications with the township. Finally got a hold of the curator of the Blackford County, Indiana Museum,
Mr. Costello. Mr.
Sineward Costello. After following up this past week with Sineward Costello, if he was able to procure any more knowledge, he replied, "Regards."
He starts it with regards?
He didn't start that.
I was going to say, that's usually at the end.
We did locate the house.
Oh, that's good.
It is at... But I'm not going to read the address. I don't need vandals.
Well, it sounds like vandals could only improve the situation.
And what a sad state it is in.
No.
It has once been a beautiful home, but now in such disrepair that it will need to be taken down.
Oh, no.
Sorry to relay this to you, and yet we should be so sorry in our community for its loss. Thanks for your interest. Overhead door was such a big part of the community's economic health for years.
This is the worst line of the email. This is the most devastating line in the email.
Once it moved away, we have been in an economic decline.
Oh, God. I had read it, and it still hurt me when you said it.
That's it. The end.
No
Sineward
regards.
Costello he's so depressed sitting at the Blackford County Museum. School's out, so you know nobody's going there until September. He didn't even sign his own name.
That's pretty sad.
So I think, Steve, we're not going to talk about it this week.
Doing a fundraiser?
I think next week we start to talk about how we save this home.
But more importantly,
in Hartford City, Indiana.
How we save Hartford City, Indiana.
How can we bring growth and economic health back to a once great town, Hartford City, Indiana? And it starts with a podcast field trip to the location of this home.
Well, Sinuard was not
There
lying.
is no chance we're going there. I mean, are you kidding me?
Is where ghosts live.
Have you seen... No, I know you haven't seen, but anybody who's seen the new Stephen King's It, there is a home.
Wait, hold on. Sinuard works for the public library?
Yeah.
It's literally a half a block away, and it took him a month to get back to us. Christ, man, you could have looked out the window and saw the place.
But it is very reminiscent of the home from Stephen King's It. I believe it's 29 Neibolt Street, something like that. But yeah, it's it appears to be in some disarray.
This is it, look. This is the site.
Look at that.
That's the garage door right there.
Steve, I don't want to talk out of turn. But have you been looking for a cottage?
No.
Me too. I think you and I go halves and we buy this place.
Huh. How much do you think we can get?
2,797 square feet it's listed as.
2,779 square.
Would you like to guess how much this home costs?
Well, I mean, if it's in good shape, it's probably $250,000.
Mm-hmm.
Is it on the market?
According to Realtor.com.
Oh, God. It's probably on the market for $20,000.
Well, we're going to have to go back to those couch cushions. $73,700, Steve.
They have a tour of it?
They have some interior photos for us here.
Hold on. I need to look this up on... Put it up on the Jumbotron.
Let's just say...
I almost said...
It's going to need a lot of paint. But hey, for a house that size...
That's a lot.
That's a big house, man.
All right, it's Hartford...
Yeah, I can just send you this link.
That's it. I got it right here. See, according to Zillow, it's off the market.
Maybe it isn't. Because according to Realtor.com, we can get this. You got pictures of the interior, too.
Wait a minute. It's 2,729 square feet.
Yeah.
2-bedroom, half bath.
I got 4 bedrooms, 1 bath. So there appears to be...
A little discrepancy.
Do you got the pictures of the interior in there?
No, I don't. See, yeah.
Look at these. Those French doors?
Yeah, that's nice.
Right? Listen, I don't want to jump early on anything, but you ever thought about becoming a flipper?
Yeah.
It didn't work with the Jeep, so it couldn't go much worse with this house.
Oh, it worked. I mean, we made a profit. It took a little while. Actually made more of a profit yesterday when I sold some more parts for it.
I mean, it's going to be a lot of work, but look at that nice hardwood.
Yeah. I mean, and if there's anything I know about you, it's that you love doing home repairs.
Love it.
Renovations.
Look at that nice green.
Oh, boy. That's something. Is that glass block? Or is that a window? I can't tell with the shadow.
I believe that's a cabinet.
Oh, okay.
Glass, and then these would be your green windows.
All right.
And look at that wallpaper.
That's nice.
You just paint right over that, right?
Yeah, right over it.
Nice French. I mean, listen. For that, it's got a door on the second floor. For some reason, I have to seal that off because it's a hazard. So that is the sad update. I still want to go visit, though, Steve. And even if the city is not going to allow us to officially place a plaque, I still think we get a plaque and we just drop it in the front yard.
Just throw it like a frisbee.
As we give, because again, I'm not leaving without giving a keynote address at the home of C.G. Johnson.
We'll bring a little soapbox. We'll set it up right on the corner there.
An actual soapbox, too.
And you can stand on it.
Yep.
And say, hear ye,
just a megaphone.
On this hallowed ground, Maybe give Herman Boone's speech from Remember the Titans.
I was thinking more along the lines of Mel Gibson's from Braveheart.
I mean, we could kind of have them blend together into one. Maybe JFK talking about a man on the moon by the end of the century.
Ask not what your house can do for you,
but what garage doors can do for America.
Well, something has happened because I have a report from 6 years ago that this property sold for $5,000.
Oh, boy.
6 years ago.
So you're saying the market's on the rebound.
Built in 1890, 2 levels.
Does it say anything about the history of the people that live there?
It doesn't. Listen, we're getting a steal because we just got to, as soon as we put where the overhead garage door opener was invented, we're making buku bucks off this thing, man. We're retiring.
Buku bucks.
We're retiring, Steve. Listen, right down the road from Keplinger Funeral Home.
Is that a selling point?
I mean, we're putting it on the listing.
I think that door on the second floor goes to a small balcony, by the way.
With no railing?
There's a railing there.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Okay. Bet you that'll have to be replaced.
That's right. I'm a railing guy now.
That's right. Dude,
look at that.
Listen,
Here.
Steve, this is it. This is how we start bringing heart. You know how they've got...
Look at that. Look how beautiful that is.
Who is that
That looks like a
attractive...
face. That looks like a face in the window looking out. That's the face of C.G. Johnson.
Who is that? There's that attractive middle-aged female who does home restoration like only in Detroit.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
And then there's,
it's Nicole something.
Nicole, yep, you're right.
Nicole Curtis.
And then there's
Nicole
somebody
Thomas.
who does it only in... Chip and Joanna Gaines
Chip and
do
Joanna,
it only in
I know
Waco.
that there's a woman who does it in Chicago.
Yep.
Yeah.
You and I...
We're the face of the Hartford City, Indiana.
Yes, we are going to bring back
Renovation
a
boom.
bustling community of yesteryear, and it'll be like an Odd Couple comedy show with me just throwing wrenches over my head and you just arms folded across your chest, just shaking your head disapprovingly at me not knowing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And
So
then somehow we
essentially,
make $40,000 off every house.
That's how it works, right?
I think it's how renovations go. Don't you just put something on the bottom of the screen that says 6 weeks later and everything's done?
And then we're like swimming in a pool of money.
Ebenezer Scrooge style.
Yeah.
So that's it. So that is the
we're doing
very
it.
sad update. Again,
But possible.
I think next spring I still think we go. I am hell bent on going there and just dropping a plaque on the driveway, or maybe nailing it to the garage door. That'd be pretty symbolic of the childhood home of C.G. Johnson, the inventor of the overhead garage door opener.
rough looking place.
Who Blackford County has forgotten.
Blackford County's forgotten son.
It'd be like if Cinnamon forgot about Mewtwo King.
Yeah. Or Larry Ferrari.
They have.
Not according to the poll results.
They've forgotten about Al Albert. He's getting the...
That's a good thing.
He's getting the Bill Cosby treatment,
Yeah.
where his names are wiped off buildings and honorary degrees are being rescinded.
And that's a good thing because he's a creep.
Fast 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, look at that teeny bopper over there.
Hey, come sit on Uncle Al's piano.
Okay, ASAP Rocky. ASAP Rocky.
I believe it's ASAP Rocky.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to show my whiteness.
He was arrested in Sweden, right? For
Yeah.
getting in some kind of fight. It was all recorded.
tough streets of Sweden.
Yeah. So I guess he was over there for a performance and
Don't worry, though.
got in a fight.
Our fearless leader
Oh, Donnie T got him out.
got him home.
Oh, thank God. So his trial ended on Friday, and they allowed him to be released to come back to the U.S. before the verdict was announced, which they say will be could be a few weeks.
He's never going back, then. They're not going to extradite him.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It seems as though he's going to be just fine, I would assume. As long as he just doesn't go back to Sweden ever, he should be okay.
Hard Knocks.
Oh, Oh, Hard Knocks. When's it start?
Comes back this week, Steve. The Oakland, soon-to-be Las Vegas Raiders.
I'm in. I love that show. For somebody like me who, for the most part, couldn't care less about sports, even though, I say that, but I watch football every Sunday. I'm just not into it, obviously, to the extent that you are and a lot of people are.
Sure.
But I love Hard Knocks. It always humanizes those people that are out on the field busting their butts to earn a spot, because they always that's the plot of every season.
Yeah.
They focus on the guy that's like just on the bubble, could make it, probably won't make it, and I always find myself like, yeah, come on, really rooting for that guy.
My problem became in the last few years, none of those guys were making it.
Yeah,
they ended up all getting cut. Last year, the Browns, I don't believe any of the...
What was that guy's name?
The
the
tight end.
The long blonde hair.
But, I was okay with him missing it because he was one of those weird guys who was like, my dad's sick, so I'm rubbing stones on his arms.
Yeah, he was...
like, oh, okay, well, you could try medicine.
Yeah, they're looking for the good story. They're looking for the good soundbite, or like the guy, like you said, who rubs stones on cancer to try and get rid of it. Like the kooky guy, the one who's basically Pedro Serrano's character from
Yes.
Major League.
Yes.
Where he's like praying to Jabu so he can hit a home run.
I need to stop what we're doing to talk about Al Alberts.
Oh, no.
Because Al Alberts passed away in 2009. Now, you and I are fully on board that Al Alberts was a creep. But Al Alberts went on to found the Four Aces. They had a hit-selling record twice in 1954, and it won an Academy Award for Best Original Song. Their biggest hit was Love is a Many Splendored Thing, which is a theme to a 1955 movie, and it also won an Academy Award for Best Song.
Okay.
He became a television personality, as we know, in Philadelphia. Now, let me tell you, because they recap what he did on a weekly basis.
Oh, boy.
Featured a panel of local children known as the Teeny Boppers.
Oh, God.
Also, a group of young teenage dancers called the Showstoppers. Mm-hmm. Local talents of all ages would sing songs and perform dance routines.
Where was this show from? Where was it based out of?
First airing on KBS TV, then on WPVI TV.
Okay.
So it doesn't say where it's based out of, but it says became a television personality in Philadelphia, so I'm guessing it was there. Alberts would sit with the Teeny Boppers. They would each tell him a joke.
Okay.
Helped launch the careers of names you're never going to know. Andrea McArdle.
Oh, of course.
Sister Sledge.
I know Sister Sledge.
The
Sister
Kinleys.
Sledge. Wait, Sister Sledge had, what was their one hit? You'd know it if you heard it. Sister Sledge. Oh, yeah, We Are Family.
Oh, wow.
We are family.
It's a big hit. The
All my
Kinleys.
sisters and me.
Another, wow, really weird. I mean, Sister Sledge, 3 women. The Kinleys, 2 women. Teddy Pendergrass, an African-American man. After 32 years, it went off the air after Albert's retirement in 2001. But yeah, the Teeny Boppers and the Showstoppers, Steve. The legacy of Al Alberts. After Hard Knocks, Carmelo Anthony. See any of that?
Basketball player.
Stephen A. Smith took the day off from his radio show Friday to do a hard-hitting interview with him about why he's not on a team currently. It's because he's terrible.
He played for the Knicks.
No, boy, he's bounced around like 3 teams since then. Yeah. Some notable sound bites from his interview making the rounds, and it doesn't seem like he's any different or would be a better teammate than he has been for 15 years.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's old, right?
He's in his mid-30s now, yeah, and I think he really wants to chase a championship ring is all he wants, but nobody wants him because he absolutely breaks your team up. So he thought the way to rehab my image will be a sit-down with Stephen A. Smith, talking about how he wants to do a farewell tour, kind of like the way Dwayne Wade did one, where, hey, this is my last time in the city, you get a big round of applause, exchange jerseys, whatever. But nobody wants that with Carmelo Anthony because he's a terrible teammate and nobody remembers him fondly.
And you can't say that that's what you want.
Yeah, you can't announce, I want a farewell tour. Somebody pay me millions of dollars so I can have a farewell
That's
tour.
That's something that people do out of respect for you because you've been a great competitor for many years and you've done this and done that. You can't say, I want a farewell tour. Who's going to be the one to provide that for me?
After that, the Democratic debates.
Oh, man. A lot of good stuff came out of those debates.
I think the next series is where you're going to start to see a little more information. It sounds like it's going to be pared down to 7 to 10. You have to have a certain amount of donors, individual, unique donors, as well as polling above a certain percentage in at least 2 polls. And based on recent numbers, that will be between 7 and 10 remaining candidates at most.
Sounds like a bunch of malarkey. That was the big thing. Joe Biden.
He said malarkey.
He said malarkey.
Wow.
And it sent the Twitter sphere into a frenzy because a lot of millennials obviously have never heard the term malarkey before.
Well,
that'll get him in the White House.
Yeah, at least he's really endearing himself to the youths.
Did you see he also at the end they all give like their final statement where they all plug their website or their text number. And he said...
Oh, yeah.
So he meant to say, go to my website.
Yeah.
Which he said, but then he said, go to my website, Joe 3030 or something.
Yeah, 3330. And people are still trying to figure out what he could have meant. I have a feeling
if you want to text.
Yeah.
So somebody for, I think it was Mayor Pete, somebody from his team... quickly bought that domain and redirected it.
Very smart.
It was like PeteForAmerica.com.
Very smart.
Yeah.
So another round of those done. I believe the next set is in next month. Lastly, Stephen the Fast Five this week. Hobbs and Shaw. Does that interest you at all?
It gets like sci-fi, right?
I don't know.
Hobbs and Shaw, because that's a spinoff of
Fast and Furious.
Yeah. Which, to my knowledge, now granted, I haven't seen like the last 7 of them.
You're missing out.
But I don't think that they've gone into the realm of sci-fi.
No, they have not. It looks like it's a bit underperforming at the box office. I texted a friend when I kept seeing trailers for this, and I said, "Do you think 10 years ago, like I would have been first in line for this?" He said, "Oh yeah, we both would have." It's just I saw that trailer in my 30s, and I said, "This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen."
Does it still have anything to do, like the whole Fast and the Furious franchise?
Yeah.
Are the plots still the same basic thing? Like we're car thieves? Like we steal cars?
It's much less that now.
What do they do now?
The last 2, well, they really shifted to like essentially not bank robbery, but it was kind of on the run from the government for the last few, and then The Rock came, and then they're working with the government a little bit, and they're trying to whatever. So it's definitely turned in the last 2 to 3 movies. But man, they're still pretty good.
Are they?
They're still pretty good, Steve. That came out this past
Even without
weekend.
P. Billy 4?
I did not enjoy the last one. I'll tell you that much. Actually, I did not. It's just too different with no P. Billy 4. Before that, the Democratic debates we talked about.
A long day.
I don't need to cry.
Without you, my friend.
I don't want to weep.
And I tell you all about it when I see you again.
Oh, man, I'm going to cry. I told myself I wasn't going to. Before that, the Democratic debates, which we talked about.
By the way, somebody tweeted or posted on Facebook. They said that they were listening to a year in review, and they spit out soda when you started singing Macy Gray.
Oh, Macy Gray. A classic. An absolute classic.
Go back and listen. That was the 2018 year in review, I think.
Yeah, the most recent one. Yeah,
because I remember we were in this room when we recorded.
Yep.
Although that could have been 2017.
We've been in here a long time, Steve, at this same folding table now with screw holes in it.
The old Mike. Holding up great, though. Look at that.
Before that, Carmelo Anthony, guy who's made more well into the 9 figures, still wants a farewell tour and a pat on the back as he goes out of the league. Probably not going to get it.
Again, you can't request your own farewell tour.
Before that, Hard Knocks, Appointment Television.
Tuesday, you said?
Tuesday night. Now, we'll both be watching it Wednesday. I believe it's on at like 10 o'clock.
Yep.
So we'll both be watching that on Wednesday. Oh, man. It's just such a unique look, and I always love seeing the new characters.
What is there, probably 5 episodes they do?
I think they do
each year.
4?
And then the last one is usually like the last preseason game.
Yep. Yeah, and then it becomes difficult for me to avoid the spoilers about who was cut because it's all over the news cycle about, hey, the Oakland Raiders cut this list of people, and you see those names.
Yeah.
Before that, lastly this week, A$AP Rocky, the hip-hop artist who beat someone up in the tough streets of Sweden. And like you said, coming home, though, Steve. Donnie T got around to it, getting him home.
Yeah, he had tweeted last week or the week before, as he tends to do, like, just talked to the very talented Prime Minister, blah, blah, blah. Stop acting like you know him. It's okay if you've never talked to him before. Doesn't matter. We don't expect that you talk to these people on a regular basis.
Yep. That's it.
What do I know?
Fast five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, a little overlap this week that we will get to. Woodstock 50 is the first one on the list.
Yeah, boy, that hit the skids, huh?
Didn't really work out.
Do they just try to do Woodstock 51 now?
I think you got to wait till 100.
Yeah, just as relevant.
Yeah. Next, cold pizza.
Are you referencing...
Specifically for breakfast.
Oh, okay. Team Cold Pizza.
Team Cold Pizza?
Absolutely.
For breakfast?
Absolutely Team Cold Pizza. Yeah!
Oh, it's been a while since we've had a high five on this podcast.
Man, you can check, you can vote on that in the poll this week at Steve and Kyle on Facebook and Twitter. Team Cold Pizza for breakfast, yes or no?
Yes. And if this isn't a runaway 100%, this might be the first time we've had 100%. We've had 99 before.
We've had
that was
really
with
big
liverwurst,
results.
the great liverwurst poll of July of 2019.
Yeah. And I hope you showed those results to your sister and let her know that she is an absolute mongrel for still doing that.
If you wait around about 10 minutes, you can tell her to her face because she's on her way over.
Well, would you look at the time?
Okay, then we had the Democratic debates.
Yeah, until they pare it down for me, it doesn't interest me.
So there's no one right now that you think stands out as that's the person.
No, for me, it's a question of, how are the polls and results going to come in with the youth, the more social left compared to the more moderate left like Joe Biden. How are those polls and those numbers going to split? And with 24 people currently in, it's impossible to know because the numbers are so watered down right now.
Also, X Games.
Those are happening.
Those are going on right now as we speak. Someone's doing a kickflip McTwist in Minnesota.
Do they do those every year, summer and winter?
I think so.
That's too much.
Man, I remember when those first came out, though. That was like a defining moment of my childhood.
Yeah, because it was unique, right? And
finally the thing that I did,
right,
like BMX, it was in the mainstream. Like,
right,
people could see it.
Now they've introduced, I think, just snowboarding into the Olympics. I don't believe like BMX stuff is in the Olympics, and I don't know how they would. But yeah, snowboarding, it's starting to make its way more mainstream. I think it takes a little bit away. The X Games, it feels like they're always happening to me.
I'd still go to see it, though. If it was in our town,
You'd go?
I would definitely go.
Be unique.
Yeah. Okay, and finally, Hobbs and Shaw.
Ugh. I don't know. I feel like I've aged so rapidly that this movie has no appeal to me, and I did not enjoy the trailers. The reviews seem to be positive. It's like above 70% on Rotten Tomatoes, but I can't tell you a movie I want to see less.
So you're not going to?
I am not going to Hobbs and Shaw. No, it doesn't interest me.
We can do a movie night, Stephen Kyle movie night.
Okay, pick a different movie.
So you're saying no. Sounds like.
I'm good.
All right, before that, the X Games. Would you go to the X Games? If they were in town, you could get tickets front row to fruit booting. Would you be there?
Who am I kidding? No. No, it doesn't interest me. I don't care.
Did it
Go
interest
see
you when
someone
you were
go grind a rail?
Like when you were in high school, or when you were in like middle school, you weren't into it at all?
No, it never really caught me as like something I wanted to do. I always thought grown men jumping around on little bikes was comical to me.
Now, what about me with my big boy BMX bike?
That's just as dumb.
Really?
That's not just as dumb. It actually looks, because that's a normal sized bike.
Yeah.
But, it's a lot better than seeing, a 32-year-old man hunched over on a child's bike with, what looked like 4-inch tires.
A 32-year-old man could have millions of dollars.
Oh, there's no
because of
doubt.
riding that
He's
bike.
more successful. I just think he's dumb.
Speaking of which, do you guys want to ride bikes and get ice cream at some point? Because we haven't done that in a while.
Way behind schedule on that.
Way behind
Can your wife ride a bike right now?
Yeah, I think she'd be all right. We rode bikes when we were on vacation. We rented bikes for the day.
Okay.
And rode
around Lake Tahoe, the whole lake?
Rode on some trails. No, the whole lake. That would have been like a 40-mile ride. I think we did, I think it was like 6 miles out, 6 miles back. And it was relatively flat, so I think we did all right. We were good. Well, I was fine. She was fine too, but I shouldn't need to justify that I was okay.
No, it needs to happen. Needs to happen. It's been far too long.
All right, so we're riding bikes to get ice cream. Before that, we had Democratic debates.
It's hard to get any intelligence out of what's happening when it's just 20 people, or even 10 people screaming at each other and
cutting each other off.
It's not. This format does not work. There needs to be a better way.
Yeah, it needs to be narrowed down to like 6 before the first debate even starts.
Yep, absolutely.
The whole format of it is terrible. Cold pizza for breakfast.
Yeah, I'm all on it. I'm all on board.
We ordered pizza yesterday because some family was over for after the baby shower.
Yep.
And had some leftover pizza. I opened that fridge this morning. I was what do I want for breakfast? Maybe I'll just do cereal. Opened that fridge, and it was like a beacon shining down from the heavens.
Wait a minute.
Oh, so good. So good.
Underrated.
Best thing is you take that slice out. It doesn't flop over.
Sure.
Because it's nice and cold. Maintains its shape.
Where do you stand on leftover sweets for breakfast? Like a piece of cake.
Oh, I'm not above that.
Yeah.
Finally?
Yeah.
We've let's see. We're just shy of 10 years of knowing each other. We have finally found common ground.
Listen, I mean, this is something that can keep this podcast together up until the new year.
It can make or break a relationship.
I mean, I think this thing dies by Christmas, but maybe this gets us to the new year.
Oh, so an extra week.
One more week.
And finally, Woodstock 50. Finally, officially canceled.
Yeah, the rumblings were pretty bad on it for a while there, right?
It was supposed to be in like Watkins Glen Raceway or whatever it was in New York, where it would have been able to hold 75 or 100,000 people, somewhere in that range. And then for whatever reason, people backed out, like some of the financial backers retreated. There were rumblings that it was canceled, and then it wasn't canceled, then it was canceled, and then they moved it to a small, like 20,000 seat amphitheater in, I think, Maryland, which is not the same as New York.
No,
not the same as the original Woodstock. And then they finally said, "Well, we're releasing the artists from their contracts." Well, yeah, I think you should.
Yeah,
that's awfully nice of you.
Yeah, a lot of people comparing it to Firefest, which is just the thing to do now. Compare anything that goes around to anything that goes wrong.
The only
Firefest.
similarity is that it's a failed music festival.
Sure,
but
at least in this regard, people weren't ripped off from money of
and
traveling.
there were probably a million failed music festivals that we've just never heard of because they failed. This obviously bigger because it had the Woodstock name attached to it, and Fire Festival was so recent. But yeah, I don't think people were ripped off for this. And I don't think anyone had bought tickets yet, right?
The last update was that tickets were going to be free.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then that was just before it all fully fell apart, which has been speculated for a couple of months now that it was falling apart anyway. So,
well, looking forward to Woodstock 100.
I'll be long dead.
Just 50 years from now. You think I'd be dead?
Oh, long dead.
You're not going to make it till, what are you, 31? 30? 32?
32.
32. You're not going to make it to 82?
Oh, my God. Update from Dan Scheich that we're going to have to yell at him about in a month when we talk to him. Jesus Christ, my wife just asked why I didn't tell you any of my work. Again, we asked him any notable artists. He said Johnny Lang and the Root Beers and whatever.
He said,
bunch of nobodies.
I had heard of everyone he had mentioned.
Didn't tell you about my work on Third Eye Blind.
Oh,
Gloria Gaynor.
I Will Survive?
And the Lumineers.
Oh, that other band?
Worst concert I've ever been to.
Probably not Dan's fault.
Dan Scheich focused on, what did he say? The meat pockets?
The meat puppets.
The meat puppet.
I think meat pocket is a slang term for genitalia. And on that note, we leave you. We bid you adieu. You can call, text, or leave a voicemail. Questions, comments, concerns, 424-30-SK-POD, 424-307-5763. On all social media, at Stephen Kyle. Anything else?
Hashtag rate my take at Stephen Kyle.
Hashtag
Please send your takes in.
R8MYT8. R8MYT8. Stay tuned for Something About Something Tate coming 2020 never. See ya.